During Joe Biden's presidency, the United States faced many challenges, including economic recovery after the COVID-19 pandemic. This video delves into how his policies played a key role in aiding the healing of two automotive giants, Ford and General Motors. The automotive industry was particularly hard hit by the pandemic, with disrupted supply chains, decreased consumer demand, and factory shutdowns. This video will explore the key policies and initiatives introduced by President Biden that contributed to the recovery of these automakers. It will focus on electric vehicle EV infrastructure investments, trade policies, incentives for clean energy vehicle production, and workforce development programs. These actions bolstered the automotive sector and aligned with Biden's broader economic revitalization and sustainability goals. Biden's economic policies played a pivotal role in aiding the recovery of Ford and General Motors. One of the most significant measures was the passage of several stimulus packages, including the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. These packages provided direct financial relief to Americans through stimulus checks, extended unemployment benefits, and child tax credits. This injection of funds into households helped boost consumer spending, which in turn had a positive trickle-down effect on the automotive industry. Increased consumer spending meant more people were in the market for new vehicles. Both automakers saw an uptick in car demand as consumers had more disposable income and a renewed sense of financial security. Furthermore, President Biden's focus on infrastructure investments indirectly supported the automotive industry. The American Jobs Plan proposed by the Biden administration aimed to invest heavily in modernizing the country's infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and electric vehicle charging networks. This initiative promised to create jobs and emphasize transitioning to a more sustainable transportation system. This infrastructure push was significant. It signaled a commitment to electric vehicles, EVs, and clean energy, aligning with the industry's effort to transition to EV production. With the promise of expanded charging networks and incentives for EV adoption, these companies were incentivized to invest in the development and production of electric vehicles, capitalizing on a growing market and ensuring their competitiveness in the evolving automotive landscape. In summary, Joe Biden's economic policies, including stimulus packages and infrastructure investments, indirectly aided the recovery of Ford and General Motors by boosting consumer spending and signaling a strong commitment to the electric vehicle market. These measures stimulated demand for vehicles and encouraged automakers to pivot towards cleaner and more sustainable transportation solutions, ensuring their long-term viability in a changing industry. Joe Biden's emphasis on clean energy and electric vehicles, EVs, has significantly aided the recovery of Ford and General Motors. His administration's strong support for environmental initiatives and commitment to combat climate change has played a pivotal role in reshaping the automotive industry. The Biden administration signaled a clear departure from the previous administration's approach to environmental regulations. It moved to reinstate and strengthen stricter vehicle emission standards, particularly fuel efficiency. This shift encouraged automakers like Ford and General Motors to invest more heavily in EV production. Both companies accelerated their plans for electric vehicle development to meet these standards and avoid penalties. President Biden introduced a series of incentives to promote electric vehicle adoption, including consumer tax credits and support for expanding charging infrastructure. These incentives increased consumer interest in EVs and made it more financially viable for companies like Ford and General Motors to invest in electric vehicle manufacturing. The prospect of federal support and growing consumer demand for clean energy vehicles created a favorable environment for these automakers to transition towards electric vehicle production. Biden's administration also pledged substantial investment in clean energy and sustainable transportation. These investments included funding for research and development in battery technology, a critical component of electric vehicles. Ford and General Motors, recognizing the importance of cutting-edge battery technology in EVs, were encouraged to invest in research and innovation to stay competitive in the rapidly evolving electric vehicle market. Biden's emphasis on global leadership in climate action through initiatives like rejoining the Paris Agreement sent a strong signal to the automotive industry. It indicated that the United States was committed to transitioning to a low-carbon future, which aligns with Ford's and General Motors' long-term strategies. These companies realized that investing in electric vehicles and cleaner technologies was essential for meeting domestic regulations and remaining competitive in international markets. In summary, Joe Biden's environmental initiatives, including stricter emission standards, EV incentives, clean energy investments, and a commitment to global climate action, created a favorable environment that encouraged Ford and General Motors to invest in electric vehicle production. These policies contributed to their recovery and positioned them to thrive in a future where clean energy and sustainability are paramount in the automotive industry. Joe Biden's approach to international trade has had implications for the automotive industry, specifically for companies like Ford and General Motors with significant global operations. His administration adopted a more diplomatic and multilateral approach than the previous one. President Biden prioritized repairing relationships with key trading partners, rejoining international agreements like the Paris Agreement and the World Health Organization signaled a commitment to working collaboratively on global challenges. This shift in diplomatic tone helped ease trade tensions and uncertainties that had arisen in the previous years. The Biden administration reviewed and, in some cases, adjusted tariffs imposed by the previous administration. Biden's willingness to negotiate trade with countries like China could also affect the flow of automotive components and vehicles between nations. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted vulnerabilities in global supply chains. Biden's administration sought to address these concerns by exploring ways to enhance supply chain resilience, which could indirectly benefit the automotive industry by ensuring a more stable flow of parts and materials. Biden's approach to international trade, characterized by a more diplomatic tone and a willingness to reevaluate tariffs and engage in negotiations, may have indirectly affected Ford and General Motors' global operations. By promoting stability and addressing supply chain vulnerabilities, his trade policies contributed to a more favorable environment for these automakers as they navigated the complex global landscape of the automotive industry. Labor relations are significant in the automotive industry, impacting workforce stability, productivity, and overall operational efficiency. Ford and General Motors, being major employers, heavily rely on harmonious labor relations to ensure the smooth functioning of their manufacturing facilities. The Biden administration took several labor-related policies and actions that positively influenced Ford and General Motors. The administration was committed to worker protection and safety, particularly during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Ensuring a safe working environment was crucial for automotive plants to remain operational. This commitment reassured employees and encouraged them to continue working. President Biden openly expressed support for labor unions and the rights of workers to organize. This pro-union stance was welcomed by labor unions representing many automotive industry workers. It created a more favorable atmosphere for labor negotiations and collective bargaining, potentially leading to more favorable employee terms, which could contribute to a stable and motivated workforce. While the federal minimum wage remained unchanged during this period, the administration did push for an increase. A higher minimum wage could positively affect many workers in the automotive industry, particularly those in entry-level positions. Overall, Joe Biden's labor-related policies and support for workers' rights likely contributed to a more stable and motivated workforce in the automotive sector. Joe Biden's response to the COVID-19 pandemic played a crucial role in assisting the recovery of Ford and General Motors and the broader automotive sector. His administration took a multifaceted approach to address the pandemic's impact. The Biden administration launched an aggressive vaccination campaign to vaccinate millions of Americans. Successful vaccination efforts were pivotal for reopening the economy and restoring consumer confidence. The American Rescue Plan Act instantly relieved Americans, including stimulus checks and extended unemployment benefits. This injection of funds into households helped boost consumer spending, benefiting the automotive industry as people considered vehicle purchases. The pandemic disrupted global supply chains affecting automotive manufacturing. Biden's administration addressed supply chain issues, indirectly supporting automakers by ensuring a steady flow of necessary components. Biden emphasized clean energy initiatives in his pandemic recovery plan, including investments in electric vehicle infrastructure and incentives for clean energy production. These policies aligned with the automotive industry's shift towards electric vehicles and provided additional support for Ford and General Motors in their electric vehicle endeavors. Ensuring worker safety in automotive plants was a priority. The administration's guidance and regulations on workplace safety during the pandemic helped automakers maintain production while safeguarding their employees. In summary, Joe Biden's comprehensive response to the COVID-19 pandemic, including vaccination efforts, economic relief packages, support for supply chains, clean energy incentives, and worker safety measures, collectively aided the recovery of Ford and General Motors by restoring consumer confidence, addressing supply chain disruptions, and facilitating the transition towards electric vehicles, positioning them for long-term success in a post-pandemic world. Thank you for watching, and hit the like button and subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.